So guys, I want to take you through your squat timeline, okay? This is a series of exercises that is going to progress or regress your squat depending on what your training experience is. So starting off, body weight squat. No equipment needed, just your body weight. We're going to be finding that feet just outside shoulder width, head up, chest up, shoulders back, sitting back into your heels, hips initiating the movement. We're going to sit nice and deep, butt below knee depth, driving up to full extension of the hips. Getting competent with that movement, we're then going to be moving into a goblet squat, using a dumbbell, using a kettlebell, holding a weight across your chest, elbows tucked underneath. We're going to be performing exactly the same movement pattern, but with a load, okay? And we're going to be building that load up, probably up to 10, 15, 20 kilo. And again, we're looking to perform 5, 10 sets of 15 reps. From here, limiting factor is going to be the amount of weight you can hold in your hands. This is why we need to bring in other tools, barbell, safety bar, things like we can use to add then increase the load. From here, the bar is going to move onto the shoulders behind the neck, hands, set those shoulders. Again, maybe having to sit a little bit wider with your feet, but I want us to get competent with that back squat. Limiting factor is going to be the shoulders, okay, and not hyperextending through your lower back. If this is a major problem, we're going to bring in the safety bar, okay, and a safety bar squat, okay, where the hands come out in front and we can start to load the body a little bit heavier. But again, we're going to have to work on these limitations in the shoulder. Progressing on, front squat. Now we're starting to get a lot more complicated, a lot more complex, because there's a lot more limiting factors to this technique and this movement. The bar is now moving into the front rack position. It's going to sit on your anterior delts. We're going to be getting into that front rack position. Now, major limiting factor to this is going to be your lats, shoulders, shoulder mobility, the mobility or flexibility of your triceps, your arms, also your wrists. Okay, you're going to have to find range and extension and flexion in your wrists, which most of us have never done before, especially with a bar. So finding this position, then adding load, then finding that squat. There's a lot going on with this one. So there's quite a big learning curve moving from back or safety into front squat, and that's why it's further down the timeline. The last progression I'm going to talk about, and at the end of our squat timeline, is going to be the overhead squat. Now, the reason this is at the far end is because it literally is going to expose all of your weaknesses. Okay, when we're working on all those other squat patterns, we can kind of have limitations up top, and we can kind of get away with it. As soon as if you've got poor mobility in the upper back, thoracic spine, up into your shoulders, you are simply never going to find this overhead position. Okay, and if you don't, you're going to put a lot of pressure. You're simply not going to be able to perform this very well, and the risk versus reward is too great. Okay, so all the way through this squat timeline, you should be working on your upper thoracic mobility. You should be working on drills to improve this overhead position, because by the time you get to that end timeline, we can start to find that nice position, and then we can build on it. All right, guys, so as I said, it's a progression. You're going to move up and down it throughout your life, throughout your programming, but just understand there is like a step-by-step process that we want you to follow.